The shuttle's engines hummed softly as he ran final checks. The morning light spilled across the overgrown forest outside the facility, but his eyes were fixed on the instruments before him. After 12,000 years, he was about to leave Earth. His heart pounded with excitement and fear. This was more than a journey, it was a mission. He carried the knowledge of humanity, the legacy of Earth, and the hope of reconnecting with the colonies spread across distant stars. The glowing bird perched on the dashboard, chirping softly. He smiled, running a hand over its feathers. Somehow it had chosen to stay with him, a tiny reminder of life that had survived on Earth. He activated the final sequence, feeling the shuttle respond to his commands. The engines roared to life, vibrating beneath him. Slowly, the vessel lifted from the ground, carrying him toward the skies he had not seen for millennia. As the shuttle cleared the atmosphere, Earth stretched beneath him, a mix of green forests, ruined cities, and rivers that had survived the ages. He felt a pang of sorrow. This world had once been full of humans, of laughter, music, and voices. Now it was quiet, reclaimed by nature. Yet even in its silence there was beauty. Humanity's home had endured, and he was leaving with its memory intact. He set the shuttle on course for the nearest human colony, a star system marked clearly in the facility's logs. The journey would take weeks, even at the shuttle's advanced speed. He monitored the instruments, adjusting trajectory, checking fuel reserves, and ensuring life support systems functioned correctly. Every calculation reminded him that survival was not guaranteed, but he had learned from humans that intelligence, patience, and careful planning were keys to success. Days passed. The stars outside the shuttle window were bright and unfamiliar, glittering against the blackness of space. At times he felt isolated, the weight of thousands of years of silence pressing down on him. But each time doubt crept in, he looked at the bird perched beside him and remembered his mission. He was not just exploring for himself, he was carrying the story of humanity forward. Along the way, he encountered challenges. Asteroid fields threatened to tear the shuttle apart, forcing him to maneuver carefully. Automated satellites, remnants of humanity's long-forgotten defenses, scanned the shuttle, initially treating it as a threat. He had to use his understanding of human technology to communicate, sending identification codes he had memorized from the facility logs. Slowly, the satellites recognized him as a friend, and the danger passed. During a quiet period of travel, he accessed the shuttle's database, reviewing messages and recordings left by humans. Some were historical, detailing the first colonies and the struggles humans faced in space. Others were personal, messages from families to each other expressing hope, fear, and determination. He felt a deep connection, as if humanity had reached through time and space to guide him. He realized that though he had been asleep for 12,000 years, he was part of something much larger. Finally, after weeks of travel, the shuttle approached the colony. A planet with blue oceans, green continents, and vast cities floated in the darkness of space. It was alive, buzzing with energy and movement. Ships traveled through the skies while structures stretched into the atmosphere. Humans thrived here, adapted to a new home, but unmistakably the same species he had left behind. He descended carefully, navigating through the docking bays. The moment he touched down, alarms sounded briefly, but the system quickly recognized him. The shuttle doors opened and he stepped onto the surface. For the first time in 12,000 years, he saw humans face to face. They were cautious, curious, and welcoming. A woman approached, her expression a mixture of wonder and recognition. You're awake," she said softly. "We thought all from your time were lost." She extended her hand and he shook it, feeling the weight of history in that single gesture. Around him, others came forward, studying him, asking questions, and sharing news. Humanity had survived, but they had missed him. He told them about Earth, the forests, the ruined cities, and the strange creatures. They listened intently, fascinated by the changes over 12,000 years. "Earth has changed," one of the elders said, "but it has endured. Your journey confirms that life continues, and that humans are resilient." He realized that though he had left the planet, he had carried a piece of it with him. His knowledge of Earth, the creatures, and the surviving technology could help guide the colonies. Humanity's past and present had finally connected through him. Over the next days, he explored the colony. The humans had adapted remarkably to their new home, yet they valued their history. They had archives filled with records of Earth, Messages preserved for generations and lessons learned from their struggles. He felt at home, yet he knew his mission was not over. He had a duty to ensure that the story of Earth and humanity's survival continued. The colony's scientists showed him ships capable of traveling farther than he had ever imagined, exploring distant systems. They explained the challenges humans had faced: limited resources, environmental hazards, and occasional conflicts with alien species. Humanity had endured through intelligence, cooperation, and courage, qualities he had learned to respect and embody during his journey. One evening, as the colony rested under twin moons, he stood on a balcony overlooking the city. He thought of the forests, the overgrown cities, and the silent rivers of Earth. Though humanity had moved to the stars, the planet remained alive. Life had adapted, evolved, and thrived. And somewhere among the trees the glowing bird waited, a reminder that even in isolation life could endure. He knew he could return to Earth, guide efforts to restore it, or focus on exploring space with the colonies. The choice was his, and he felt the freedom and responsibility of it. Humanity had survived countless challenges. Through him, the story of their past, the lessons of Earth, and the hope for the future could continue. In that moment, he realized something profound. Survival was not just about living. It was about learning, remembering, and passing knowledge forward. Humanity had left Earth, yet it had left clues, technology, and hope. He had followed that path and arrived at the living proof: humans thriving beyond the stars. He smiled. The journey that began with a lonely awakening had led to connection, understanding, and purpose. Humanity was gone from Earth, but it was far from lost. The stars were filled with life, and he was part of that story now. The next morning he prepared to leave the colony again, not as a lost human from the past, but as a bridge between worlds. The shuttle waited, fully prepared for travel. He stepped inside, the glowing bird perched on the dashboard, chirping softly. Engines roared to life, and the vessel lifted toward the skies. As Earth faded in the distance, he felt no fear. The forests, the rivers, and the silent cities remained, thriving in the absence of humans. But humanity itself was alive, spread across the stars, and he was a part of that ongoing story. He looked at the stars ahead, each one a possibility, a future, a chance to explore, learn, and connect. He knew that his journey was not the end. It was a beginning of rebuilding connections, of learning more about humanity's legacy, and of exploring the endless mysteries of space. He was no longer alone. Humanity had survived, life had endured, and the future was waiting. The shuttle moved steadily through the void, carrying him toward new worlds, new discoveries, and new beginnings. The stars stretched endlessly before him, shining with possibilities. For the first time in 12,000 years, he felt complete. He had awakened to a silent Earth, faced challenges beyond imagination, and now he had found his place among the living, and so, with hope in his heart, he set forth into the cosmos, carrying the story of humanity, the lessons of Earth, and the promise of a future that could be bright again. Humanity was gone from its home, but it was alive, thriving, and ready to continue its journey among the stars. And he, the one who had awakened after 12,000 years, was now part of that story, a witness to survival and a guardian of hope. Alex's eyes opened slowly, like curtains being drawn in a dark room. He blinked again, struggling to focus. The cold metal of the cryogenic pod pressed against his skin, and the faint hum of machinery filled the silence. Something was wrong. Very wrong. He tried to remember. The experiment, the mission, the promise of sleep for centuries. The purpose had been simple: to allow humans to explore space safely while frozen, to awaken in a new age and see a changed world. Alex had volunteered willingly, dreaming of a future where he could witness human achievement across millennia. But this was not what he expected. Alex pushed himself upright. The pod hissed, retracting its lid, and the room's lights flickered on. The control panels around him were ancient. Dust coated every surface, screens cracked, and buttons were frozen in time. He tried to speak, but his voice caught in his throat. He couldn't hear another human. Not one sound, not even a faint echo. The laboratory, his laboratory, was empty. Broken monitors displayed static, their screens blinking weakly like dying stars. Alex stepped out of the pod carefully, feeling the metal floor beneath his boots. The air smelled stale, like it had been trapped for centuries. The silence pressed against him, heavy and unnatural. He walked toward the door, which creaked as it opened. Beyond it, the corridor stretched endlessly, lined with doors that led to empty rooms. Equipment was scattered across the floor, as if abandoned in a hurry. Alex's heart pounded. Where was everyone? He ran toward the nearest observation window. Outside, nothing. The city he had known, the one bustling with people, traffic, and life, was gone. Skyscrapers stood as hollow skeletons, glass shattered, steel twisted. Nature had crept in, vines wrapping around broken walls, trees growing through the cracks in streets. Birds flew in small flocks, indifferent to the silent world below. Alex's mind raced. This couldn't be real. Maybe he had been asleep longer than planned. But 10,000 years? Could it even be possible? He stumbled back from the window, gripping the railing. "Hello?" he called, his voice cracking. Nothing answered, not even an echo. Panic bubbled inside him, but he forced himself to breathe. Alex had faced isolation before, during long missions in orbit. But this was different. This wasn't temporary. This was a world without humans. He returned to the laboratory to search for answers. Computers flickered weakly, some still functional, though most were dead. Alex sifted through old files, logs, and records. Everything had stopped. The dates, the timelines, everything froze at a moment he could not understand. He found a terminal that still had power. It displayed a message: cryogenic experiment complete. Subject awakened. Estimated time passed, 10,000 years. Human civilization status unknown. Alex's hands trembled. 10,000 years. 10,000 years of human history, evolution, and change. And he had missed it all. He stumbled outside the lab, stepping onto the cracked streets. The wind carried a strange, haunting sound. Rustling leaves, distant creaks, the groaning of buildings under the weight of time. He walked through avenues where cars had turned to metal skeletons, abandoned homes swallowed by vines. Every corner, every street told a story of sudden disappearance. Alex paused at a park. A swing moved slightly in the wind, a remnant of a world that no longer existed. Memories flashed through his mind. His childhood, his friends, his family, all gone, lost in a span of millennia. He sank to a bench, gripping his head. The loneliness pressed in, heavier than the air itself. But he couldn't stay. Curiosity, the same drive that made him a scientist, pushed him forward. If humanity was gone, if Earth had become empty, there had to be answers somewhere. He scanned the horizon and noticed something unusual. A faint light flickering from the direction of the moon. A signal? A beacon? Alex's pulse quickened. He spent days exploring the city, though days had a different meaning now. Time seemed endless when there was no one else to measure it. In abandoned libraries, he found preserved books and archives. In schools, desks were still in place, books gathering dust. He touched them gently, imagining the children who had once sat here, the laughter that had filled the halls. In the midst of this exploration, Alex discovered strange technological remnants. Drones still patrolled empty streets, though their purpose was unclear. Robots moved slowly, repeating routines without humans to guide them. Holographic projectors flickered with old images, faces of people long gone, captured in moments of joy or work. One particular machine caught his attention, a communication hub that seemed to respond to his presence. He approached it cautiously. The screen blinked to life, displaying a message that had been repeated for thousands of years. Humanity has left Earth. Seek the moon. Answers await. Alex's heart raced. Was this a trap? Or a genuine invitation? Either way, he had no choice. If there was any hope of understanding what had happened to humanity, he had to follow it. Before leaving the city, he gathered supplies, food preserved in long-lasting containers, water and tools that might be useful for survival. Though the city was empty, the remnants of human life were scattered everywhere. He took what he could, feeling a strange connection to a world that had vanished. As Alex prepared to journey beyond Earth's surface, he paused for one last look. The sun rose over the skeletal skyline, casting long shadows across streets reclaimed by nature. He felt a strange mixture of fear, sorrow, and determination. He was alone, but not powerless. Alex activated an old spacecraft he had discovered in a hidden hangar. Dusty panels hummed to life and the engines roared weakly at first. He strapped himself into the seat, hands trembling as he prepared for launch. This craft might not have been used in millennia, but it was his only chance. As the engines ignited, the Earth beneath him looked both familiar and alien. The world he had known, the world he had loved, was gone, but he had a mission. Somewhere in the vastness of space there might be answers, and Alex, the last human witness of his age, would find them. The spacecraft rose slowly, leaving behind the silent streets and empty skyscrapers. The wind no longer whispered through abandoned parks. Alex gazed at the moon ahead, its surface glowing faintly under a strange light. The signal was growing stronger, calling him forward. For the first time since awakening, Alex felt hope. He was alone, but not defeated. Humanity might have abandoned Earth, but he would not abandon the quest to understand, and perhaps, just perhaps, he could restore what had been lost. As the stars stretched before him and the moon drew closer, Alex whispered to the empty universe, "I will find you, whoever is left." Alex's spacecraft glided silently through the atmosphere, leaving Earth behind. The familiar blue oceans and green continents stretched below him, now strange and overgrown. Cities once alive with people were now forests of concrete and steel. Nature had reclaimed the planet in ways Alex could hardly comprehend. Yet the signal from the moon pulsed steadily, a guiding beacon in the void of space, promising answers he had no choice but to seek. Upon landing on the lunar surface, Alex was struck by the silence. The base he had reached was massive, a network of domes and tunnels built long before humanity abandoned Earth. Dust covered the floors, and lights flickered weakly, as if remembering the presence of people who had not walked here for thousands of years. He stepped out of the spacecraft cautiously, boots crunching on the gray dust, and made his way toward the signal. Inside the base, the air was cold but breathable, recycled by ancient life support systems. Alex's hand brushed over a control panel, and surprisingly it flickered to life. The screen displayed an interface far beyond anything he had used. Symbols, lights, and incomprehensible data streamed across the monitors. A soft voice echoed through the hall, calm and mechanical. "Welcome, Alex. Access authorized. Humanity's legacy is preserved here." Alex's pulse quickened. Legacy? Could this machine really hold the answers he sought? He pressed a button and holographic displays shimmered into existence. Faces of humans, scientists, children, explorers flickered in the air. Messages recorded for centuries danced before him, each one a fragment of a vanished civilization. He watched a projection of a woman speaking urgently. "If you are watching this, know that Earth has been abandoned. Humanity spread across the stars to survive. This lunar base holds records of our history, technology, and plans for a future return. You must seek the archives to understand everything." Alex's mind raced. Humanity had left. They hadn't perished. They had chosen to explore the cosmos, leaving the home they had known for millennia. But why? And why had they left no one behind to tend the Earth? Questions swirled in his head as he moved deeper into the base, following corridors lined with dormant machinery. The archives were a vast chamber, walls covered in digital storage devices, holographic projectors, and information nodes. Alex activated one, and a map of human expansion appeared. Stars marked planets colonized by humans, some near, some impossibly far. Notes detailed cities, ecosystems, and civilizations they had built in space. Alex realized the magnitude of what humanity had accomplished. They had not simply survived, they had thrived, yet a shadow of mystery remained. Certain files were locked, inaccessible even to him. These were marked with warnings. "Do not open until instructed by the rightful human custodian." Alex felt a chill. Could he be the only human left who could access them? Could he be meant to continue what humanity had started? Days passed as he explored the lunar base, learning its secrets. The base had systems for sustaining life, agricultural labs, and artificial intelligence designed to assist humans in monitoring Earth. These AI programs still operated, performing tasks automatically, though their purpose seemed incomplete without human oversight. Alex interacted with them cautiously, discovering that they could provide guidance but only within limits set millennia ago. He learned of the Earth's decline before humanity left. Climate disasters, wars, and resource depletion had forced humans to make a painful choice: leave the planet or face extinction. The archives detailed the exodus, showing ships launched in massive fleets, each carrying thousands to new worlds. Many ships had established colonies on planets that could support life, while others had ventured into unknown star systems. Alex's heart ached as he watched holographic recordings of children waving goodbye to their parents, of families leaving Earth forever. He realized that the Earth he had known, with its laughter and chaos, had been abandoned not in an instant but over generations. Humanity had survived, but Earth had been left behind, yet the signal calling to him remained. It was subtle, pulsing from a hidden part of the moon. Curious, Alex followed it deeper into the base, discovering a chamber unlike the others. This one contained a single glowing orb suspended in mid-air. The orb pulsed with energy, projecting images and data into the room. Alex approached cautiously. The orb spoke in a voice that was both human and mechanical. "You are the first human to awaken on Earth in 10,000 years. You are the witness to our legacy. Earth may be restored, but only with your guidance. The choice is yours." Alex felt a shiver run down his spine. Restore Earth? Could it really be possible? The orb showed simulations, landscapes being healed, forests returning, oceans replenished, and animals revived. But the process was delicate and required someone who understood humanity's history, someone who could care for the planet as humans once had. That someone was now him. He sat, absorbing the magnitude of responsibility. Alone for 10,000 years, he had suddenly become humanity's custodian. The loneliness he had felt before now mingled with a sense of purpose. He could no longer be a passive observer. He had to act. Alex began studying the systems, learning how to interact with them. The AI programs offered assistance, but some tasks required intuition and judgment only a human could provide. He realized the work would take decades, maybe centuries, and that he might never see humanity return. But he could ensure that the Earth would survive for those who might come one day. During his exploration, Alex discovered something unexpected. Not all humans had left voluntarily. Some had undergone secret experiments to preserve life in stasis, awaiting a time when Earth could support them again. These experiments had failed, leaving only automated systems behind. The thought struck Alex. Perhaps he was not alone in humanity's grand design. Perhaps others would awaken one day, and he would be their guide. Alex spent time navigating the lunar tunnels, examining archives and restoring systems. The AI provided guidance but also left room for discovery. Occasionally, he stumbled upon remnants of human culture, holographic museums, recordings of music, poetry, and art, all preserved perfectly. He paused at these, feeling a connection to a civilization that had vanished from Earth but lived on in memory. Weeks turned into months as Alex prepared for a journey back to Earth. The signal from the moon hinted at a deeper secret buried beneath the surface, one that could reveal humanity's final intentions. Perhaps it would explain why they had abandoned their home completely, leaving only machines and memories behind. Before leaving the lunar base, Alex activated long-dormant spacecraft systems. Fuel reserves, navigation computers, and propulsion modules came alive under his careful hands. The craft hummed, ready to carry him to the surface of Earth once more, to confront the empty world he had awakened to, and to seek the truth hidden in its silence. As he prepared for the descent, Alex paused one last time, gazing at the lunar horizon. The Earth hung in the distance, a lonely blue and green jewel, silent and waiting. He felt a mixture of fear and anticipation. What would he find? What secrets had humanity left behind? And could a single human alone after 10,000 years make a difference? The engines ignited, lifting Alex's craft into orbit. He watched the moon recede, the barren gray surface fading as he descended toward Earth. The cities below stretched endlessly, half buried in forests, rivers clogged with debris. Deserts expanded where once green plains had thrived. But through the decay, Alex sensed potential. Life could return. He had seen the simulations, and he knew the tools to restore Earth were within his grasp. As he landed softly near a city that had once been New York, Alex stepped out onto the cracked streets once more. Silence greeted him, yet it no longer felt oppressive. Now it was a canvas, a blank space upon which he could work. Nature had reclaimed the world, but it was not hostile. It was waiting, patient and resilient, just like him. Alex looked at the horizon, at the empty skyscrapers and overgrown streets. He felt a sense of purpose stronger than loneliness. The first step toward restoring humanity's home had begun, and he would face it alone with determination and care. And somewhere, in the distant reaches of the moon and beyond, the signal pulsed, waiting for the next move, for the first act of a human who had awakened in a world abandoned, yet full of possibility. Alex whispered to himself, the words carrying across the empty streets, "Earth, I will bring you back." Alex stepped cautiously onto the cracked streets of New York. The city, once alive with millions of people, now lay in eerie silence. Skyscrapers were hollowed shells, windows shattered or overgrown with ivy. Trees had forced their way through. Concrete cracks and wild animals roamed freely, unafraid. The city was not dead. It had changed into something strange, beautiful, and dangerous all at once. He moved carefully, scanning every street for signs of life or danger. Automated machines from a long-forgotten era whirred nearby. Delivery. Drones still carrying packages patrolled the streets on programmed routes. Cleaning robots moved with slow precision, clearing debris or dust, oblivious to the empty world around them. Alex watched one as it swept a cracked sidewalk. Its tiny sensors detected no humans, and it continued without hesitation. Alex felt a strange mix of awe and sadness. Humanity had left, yet its creations remained, carrying out routines set thousands of years ago. He realized these machines were echoes of civilization, ghosts of a world that had once thrived. They were reminders of the ingenuity and persistence of humans, a civilization that had refused to vanish completely. He wandered into a museum, its doors hanging on broken hinges. Inside, dust covered every exhibit, yet holographic displays flickered weakly. Art, science, and culture were preserved perfectly in suspended projection. Alex walked among them, touching the cool glass and metal, imagining the people who had created these works. Children had played here, families had visited, scientists had lectured, and artists had dreamed. Now, all that remained was memory and technology. Alex found a terminal in the museum's archives. It still held data logs of humanity's history before leaving Earth. He spent hours reviewing them, learning about the Exodus, the decisions, the experiments, and the sacrifices made. Humanity had faced environmental collapse, dwindling resources, and conflicts that could not be solved. Leaving Earth had been a choice of survival. They had built massive fleets of ships, each carrying thousands to new worlds capable of supporting life. Some had thrived nearby, others had traveled to distant star systems. Yet there was more. Alex found evidence of secret projects left behind. Automated terraforming devices, dormant biolabs, and simulations to test how life might recover without humans. The planet had not been completely abandoned. Plans had been set in motion to allow Earth to eventually heal itself. But these plans required oversight, intelligence, and care. Alex felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. He was the first human to awaken in 10,000 years. He was alone, yet he held the keys to humanity's greatest legacy, the planet itself. For the first time, fear gave way to determination. He would not fail. Earth could be restored. Moving through the streets, Alex noticed small signs of life. Plants were growing in places they should not have been. Small animals darted among the ruins. Pockets of water, once polluted or drained, were now home to fish and amphibians. Life had survived, quietly and patiently. Even without humans, this discovery filled Alex with hope. Restoration might be possible, but there were challenges. Some machines had become unpredictable. Security drones patrolled areas long abandoned, still programmed to defend territory. Automated defense systems, activated when Alex approached certain zones, forcing him to find ways around them. Other machines had deteriorated, collapsing unexpectedly or blocking pathways. The city, though beautiful, was treacherous. Alex had to stay alert, balancing caution with progress. He reached Central Park, now a dense forest. Trees towered above him, and vines wrapped around broken statues. The fountains had dried, but ponds had formed naturally, filled with frogs and fish. Birds sang in the trees, a chorus of life reclaiming the city. Alex knelt beside a small stream, watching the water flow. It was clear, fresh, untouched by pollution for centuries. Nature had not only survived, it had thrived in humanity's absence. Alex spent the following days cataloging and studying the automated systems. Some were remnants of governance, traffic controllers, public safety units, environmental monitors. Others were cultural, museum holograms, school tutors, art restorers. Each machine offered clues about human society, their values, and their intelligence. He realized that these machines were humanity's way of preserving knowledge for the future. During his explorations, Alex discovered a hidden chamber beneath an old library. Inside, a small vault contained a series of data crystals. He inserted one into a terminal, and a holographic map of Earth appeared. It displayed automated terraforming, systems, energy grids, and biolabs scattered across the planet. Many of these systems were still functional, maintaining critical environmental balance. Alex realized that the Earth had been prepared for eventual human return. But without someone to guide it, the process was incomplete. He activated the maps, tracing the nearest active systems. One biolab near the equator had been monitoring animal populations and plant growth. Sensors indicated small anomalies, areas where restoration efforts had begun on their own, but were unstable. Alex knew he had to visit these sites to ensure the revival process succeeded. As he traveled, he noticed subtle changes in the world. Weather patterns had shifted over millennia. Rivers had carved new paths, and coastlines had eroded. The planet was alive, moving on its own, yet vulnerable. Without careful guidance, parts of Earth might fail to recover, leaving deserts or wastelands permanently. Alex understood that his mission was urgent, even if it might take decades to complete. One evening, as he set up camp on a rooftop overlooking the city, Alex noticed something unexpected. A small drone, different from the others, hovered nearby. It emitted a faint signal like a beacon. He approached it cautiously. The drone projected a holographic message. "Alex, you are not alone. Earth's revival depends on your actions. Guidance is provided. Follow the map for the next stage." Alex felt a shiver of excitement and relief. Someone or something had left instructions for him. He was not entirely alone. The AI systems were waiting, ready to assist him, but he had to make the choices. The path forward was clear, though challenging. He followed the map to the first active biolab. The lab, hidden beneath thick vegetation, was a marvel of ancient engineering. It had survived earthquakes, storms, and centuries of decay. Alex carefully entered, activating systems that had been dormant for millennia. Lights flickered on, sensors hummed, and data streams flowed. The lab began to assess the local environment, measuring soil quality, water levels, and biodiversity. Alex spent hours analyzing the data. The systems provided instructions, showing how to balance ecosystems, revive endangered species, and stabilize climate zones. He realized that humanity had left him not just tools, but a complete guide for restoration. The work would be difficult, but it was possible. Night fell, and Alex sat in the lab, watching holographic projections of Earth's past and potential future. He saw forests regrow, rivers flow clean, and wildlife flourish once more. He understood that the planet's survival was now tied to him. He was the caretaker, the last link between humanity and its home. Alex knew that the next steps would require travel, patience, and ingenuity. He would need to visit other labs, repair failing systems, and perhaps awaken dormant machines to assist in the effort. The journey would be long, but he was determined. Earth could be saved, and he would be the one to do it. As he gazed at the city beyond the lab's walls, Alex whispered to the silent world, "I will not let you fail. I will bring life back to Earth." The city remained quiet, but Alex sensed a response in the air, in the rustling leaves, and the faint hum of machines still working. Earth was listening. And for the first time since awakening, Alex felt a connection, not just to the planet, but to humanity itself. He was no longer just a survivor. He was a guardian, entrusted with a world that had been abandoned yet held immense potential. And with every step he took, Alex moved closer to restoring a home that had waited for 10,000 years. Alex stood on a hill, watching the rising sun cast golden light across the restored landscape. The city below, once silent and crumbling, now hummed quietly with life. Forests had returned, rivers flowed freely, and wildlife roamed unafraid. Birds sang from the treetops and small animals darted across the grass. It had taken months of tireless effort, but the Earth was slowly coming back to life. Despite the visible progress, Alex knew the work was far from over. The planet had survived, millennia without humans, but its stability was fragile. Some areas were still vulnerable, rivers prone to flooding, forests at risk of disease, and ecosystems that needed careful balance. Every day required attention, every decision mattered. He returned to the first biolab he had discovered, coordinating with the AI units. The machines worked tirelessly, repairing old systems, monitoring climate patterns, and tracking wildlife. Alex assigned tasks to each unit, directing them to focus on areas that needed immediate attention. It was a delicate dance between human intuition and machine precision, a partnership spanning thousands of years. As he moved through the restored forests, Alex discovered signs of growth he had never anticipated. Small, unusual animals appeared, creatures engineered by humans to accelerate ecological recovery. Some glowed faintly, pollinating plants or purifying water. Others had adapted to the new environment, developing behaviors that suggested intelligence beyond normal expectations. Alex realized that the Earth was no longer simply alive, it was evolving. In the city, automated systems continued to maintain infrastructure. Solar panels tilted to catch sunlight, water purification units hummed quietly, and energy grids balanced power across abandoned skyscrapers now converted into habitats for wildlife. Alex marveled at the foresight of humanity. Even after 10,000 years, their plans were working, but only with his guidance. One morning, Alex received an unexpected signal from the Lunar Archive. He activated the communication terminal, and a holographic map of Earth appeared. The AI on the moon projected a message. Alex, your progress has been observed. Humanity monitors the restoration. Your actions are ensuring a viable future for the planet. Continue your work. Alex felt a mixture of pride and humility. He was alone on Earth, yet somehow, humans across the stars were aware of his efforts. It was a connection across time and space, a bond between past and present. He pressed forward with renewed determination, knowing that every action mattered. The following weeks were filled with challenges. Some areas required delicate repair. Collapsed bridges needed reinforcement. Polluted lakes needed purification. And forests threatened by invasive species had to be carefully managed. Alex relied on his knowledge, intuition, and AI assistance to stabilize these zones. Slowly, life began to flourish. Fish swam in rivers that had been dry for centuries. Birds nested in trees that had once been broken monuments. Forests expanded, reclaiming streets and neighborhoods. One day, as he wandered through a valley where wildlife had begun to flourish, Alex noticed something extraordinary. A small herd of deer approached, unafraid. Birds perched on his shoulders and trees swayed gently as if acknowledging his presence. It was a moment of connection between human and nature, a reminder of why he had undertaken this monumental task. He smiled, feeling a sense of accomplishment he had never imagined possible. But the journey was not without obstacles. In some regions, automated systems had deteriorated, creating hazards. Collapsed drones polluted waterways, and malfunctioning machines threatened the delicate balance Alex had worked so hard to achieve. He navigated each challenge with care, repairing systems and redirecting resources to areas in need. His efforts were tireless, but the results were undeniable. Earth was healing. As he moved to coastal regions, Alex discovered areas where oceans had changed course, leaving once fertile lands submerged. Using AI guidance and human ingenuity, he rebuilt seawalls, restored wetlands, and reintroduced marine life. Dolphins, fish, and seabirds returned, and the ocean slowly regained its rhythm. Alex realized that Earth's recovery was not only terrestrial, it extended across every ecosystem, every biome, every corner of the planet. One evening, Alex climbed a cliff overlooking a valley he had restored. The sun set in brilliant colors, casting long shadows over forests, rivers, and plains. He felt a deep connection to the world below, a bond stronger than anything he had known in his previous life. Earth was no longer abandoned. It was alive, vibrant, and full of potential, and he had played a role in bringing it back. Yet even as the planet flourished, Alex remained vigilant. The AI units monitored every change, predicting potential hazards and guiding him in preventing them. Together, they managed ecosystems, balanced animal populations, and ensured that plants thrived in every climate. Alex understood that restoration was a continuous process. Earth would always need care, guidance, and protection. One day, while surveying a restored forest, Alex noticed something he had not seen before: small humanoid figures moving in the distance. At first, he thought his eyes were playing tricks on him, but as he approached, he realized these were not human. They were engineered life forms, part of the restoration programs left behind by humanity. They moved with intelligence, communicating silently, observing and learning. Alex smiled. Earth was evolving in ways even he had not anticipated. The AI units confirmed his observations. These life forms were adapting to the restored environment, creating new ecological relationships. Plants and animals were interacting in ways designed to ensure long-term stability. Alex realized that the planet was not just recovering. It was developing resilience, capable of surviving even without human presence. As weeks turned into months, Alex began documenting his progress. He recorded every change, every success, every challenge. The data would one day guide humanity if they returned, or serve as a record of a world reborn. For the first time since awakening, he felt connected not only to the Earth, but to the civilization that had come before him. One quiet night, Alex sat by a restored river, watching fish swim in the clear water and birds glide above. The moon reflected on the surface, a reminder of the connection between Earth and humanity across space. He whispered to himself, "Earth, you are alive again. You will survive." The world responded subtly. The wind rustled through the trees, the water flowed gently, and animals stirred in the night. Alex felt a sense of harmony he had never experienced before. He was part of something greater than himself, a bridge between the past and the future. Months passed, and Alex continued his work tirelessly. Forests expanded further, rivers stabilized, and wildlife flourished. Cities became integrated with nature, skyscrapers serving as habitats for birds and small mammals. The planet was no longer empty. It was thriving. One morning, while overlooking a vast valley he had restored, Alex noticed movement on the horizon. Small spacecraft glinted in the sunlight, approaching Earth from distant stars. Humanity was returning. They had monitored his progress and decided it was time to see the planet alive once more. Alex felt a surge of emotion: relief, joy, and awe. Earth had survived 10,000 years of abandonment, and now humans would witness its revival. He had done the work of centuries in mere months, guided by knowledge, intuition, and determination. As the first human ships entered orbit, Alex stood on the hill, looking out over a vibrant, restored world. The forests swayed, rivers sparkled, and animals roamed freely. Humanity had returned to a planet that was alive, resilient, and thriving, thanks to one person who had awakened after 10,000 years. Alex smiled, feeling a profound connection to the Earth, to life, and to the humans who had built this legacy. He whispered one final promise: "I will continue to protect you, Earth. You will never be abandoned again." The planet seemed to respond, alive and vibrant, a testament to resilience, determination, and the enduring spirit of life. Alex, the last witness of the old world and the first guardian of the new, had completed his journey. Humanity had returned, and Earth, once empty, now flourished as a thriving home for all life once more.